Hari Om Tat Sat. Welcome to Swami Jyotirmayananda Society, our journey to self realization. Please subscribe for the mystical meanings and to enjoy daily satsang. We are currently exploring the scripture Srimad Bhagavad Gita. Commentaries by Swami Jyotirmayananda Maharaj, narrated by myself, Swami Nikhilananda. We are currently on chapter number 17, also known as Shraddha Traya Vibhag Yoga, or the Yoga of Threefold Faith. And today we are starting from Shloka number 4, where Lord Krishna is answering Arjuna's question of what happens if people don't study scriptures and how does the faith then work. Shloka 4. Yajante satvika devan yaksharakshansi rajasaha pretan bhutaganshyanye yajante tamasa janaha. The Satvikas worship gods, the Devas for dharma or spiritual merit. The Rajasikas worship Yakshas and Rakshasas or the lower spirits for material gain and pleasure, while the Tamasiks worship the lowest spirits and ghosts for perverted reasons by adopting deceit and violence. So, according to each guna, people pick their deities and how they worship them. Shloka 5. Ashastra-vihitam ghoram tapyante ye tapojanaha dambhahakara sanyuktaha kamaragbalanvitaha. Those who are given to hypocrisy and conceit, they, impelled by lust and attachment, perform terrible austerities which is not enjoined in the scriptures. So here God is saying that even people who are not pure, they also perform austerities and go through um, different practices to strengthen their hypocrisy and deceit, and they are impelled by lust and attachment, and they continue to perform those things according to their nature. So they follow the things which the scriptures don't tell them to do. They do them anyway, but they perform the austerities that are required as in their minds. So shloka number 6. Karshayantah sharirastham bhutagramam chetasah mam chaivantah sharirastham tan vidhayasura nishchayan. They torture the elements that go to form their body, and also me, the divine self, the indweller within the body, know them to be of demoniac resolve. So, those who are of demoniac nature, destructive nature, they think that by doing difficult tapa or performances of torturing the body, keeping it under intense heat or intense cold, that they are doing a great penance. He says, actually, they are simply torturing themselves, and also me, meaning God Himself, because God resides in our very hearts. So, therefore, he says, know them to be of demoniac resolve. Then God is getting into the types of food. Aharastvapi sarvasya trividho bhavati priyaha yagyastapatastha danam tesham bhedamimam shranu. So, in the same manner, just like the food, faith, food also, everything is based on the three gunas. So, here Lord is saying, just like we have three kinds of faith, in the same manner, food, which is dear to everyone, is of three types also. And similarly, there are three types of sacrifice, austerity, and charity. Listen them now to their distinctions. So God is saying the three gunas are not just at the faith level or not just at the body level. They basically permeate in prakriti being nature. So in nature itself there are three gunas, so therefore it is prevalent in all things such as food, sacrifice, austerity, charity, etc. So now God will patiently explain each of these things. Shloka number 8. आयुः सत्त्वबलारोग्य सुखप्रीतिविवर्धनाः रस्याः स्निग्धः स्थिरा युज्या आहारः सात्विकप्रियः. Here God says, foods that promote life, mental strength, vitality, health, cheerfulness, and a loving nature, which are savory, nutritious, digestible, and agreeable, these are dear to the sattvikas. So here God is saying that eat food that is good for your sadhana practice, good for your body, and also good for the environment and for others. So foods that promote life, so ideally having ahimsa, non-violence, as part of your food intake is very helpful, meaning try to follow a vegetarian diet, and then that gives you drink milk or yogurt or things that are easily digestible if your body is not allergic to those things. And then you try, it gives you mental strength is greatly needed in spiritual practice. As you know, it is an intense sadhana, therefore we should be eating things like legumes or almonds and healthy nuts that increase our brain power, walnuts and things like that. And vitality, make sure that our body remains supple and strong and healthy. And also these foods, they keep us in a light mood, in a good mood, cheerfulness results, versus when we eat very heavy food, it tends to make us lethargic. So these are the kind of foods Lord Krishna is recommending. And those foods that are nutritious, which means they're good for your health, they prolong your life, that are digestible easily, which means they don't bother your inner system so much, and they are agreeable with you and your constitution. So those are dear to sattvikas. Many sattvic people don't even eat garlic and onions because according to the traditional Sanatana Dharma philosophy, that is considered rajasic or tamasic, which means they increase passion. And also but if it suits you, it's okay, it's an individual choice. But for sure we should try to avoid non-vegetarian food, because first of all it takes a long time to digest in our body, and secondly when we wake up early in the morning and we do our sadhana, it is much healthier when we are light stomached, etc. Moving on to shloka number 9, God says, Kata Vambala Lavanatyo Tishna Kshana Ruksha Vidahinaha Ahara Rajasa Seshtadu Dukha Shokam Maya Pradaha. Foods that are very bitter, sour, saltish, hot, pungent, dry, tasteless, and burning, which produce pain, grief, and disease, are dear to the Rajasikas. Rajasikas is worldly, just like worldly activities, they enjoy foods that are worldly in nature, meaning very heavy and very royal and very delicious, but not necessarily good for the body or the stomach. So these are the kind of foods that God says, like people who always want hot and pungent and pickles and bitter things. And so these are the kind of foods that then frequently give us heartburn, since they burn inside and then they create pain and grief. Next shloka. Yatayamam gatarasam puti paryushitam cha yat ucchishtamapi chamedhyam bhojanam tamas priyam. Foods that are stale, devoid of taste, foul smelling, rotten, refused, and impure are liked by those who are tamsikas. Tamsikas, the dull food. So here God is saying that kind of food, that is, typically Gita says we should try to keep the food fresh and not keep on using old food for many days. Ideally, they say it should be kept for no longer than a few hours, but these days we have fridge and freezers, and we use um, frozen food all the time. So but we should try to at least supplement it with some fresh salads and good holistic food. But these kind of foods that are stale and old and foul smelling, rotten, etc., his Lord is here talking about people who are following a lot of tamasic, demoniac nature things, where they're eating a lot of flesh and all kinds of meats and food that is not conducive for people who are wanting to move higher on the spiritual realm. So shloka 11. Afalakankshit bhirayagyo vidhishdrishto ya ijyate yashtavyameveti manaha samadhaya ya satvikaha. Sacrifice which is offered without expectation of fruit, in accordance with the scriptural teachings, with a sense of duty and firm faith, that is sattvic or pure in nature. So that is how we do sacrifices also, because that can also be rajasic, sattvic, or tamasic. But when we do a sacrifice, the highest one is without expectation, like we do Jnana Yajna as we are currently doing. The only expectation is that we should all grow and become one strong, bonded spiritual family, and we make this world a better place. And even that is not an expectation, it's just a holy thought, aspiration, you may say, for us to be on that path. But it is a path of selfless service. But there should be no expectation of fruit, meaning I should not expect that since we are doing these teachings, so much should come to me, I should benefit so much, or I should have a place reserved in the heavens, or I should get liberated. All those things eventually become then desires of some sort. We should do it unconditionally, offer it to God in his lotus feet, and then only we are following the scriptural teachings in its real meaning. And then we do it as a sense of duty and firm faith. We do it because it is a blessing for us to have this knowledge and to share with others, and that is the real, only then it is sattvic in nature. But there are places where there is tremendous fees, lots of bureaucracy, lots of structure, not enough purity, not enough teaching, but just a lot of commercialism. That is not, in Lord Krishna's view, sattvic. That becomes rajasic. Even though they are teaching you how to meditate, they're teaching you, giving you Vedanta and this and that, but the objective is not selfless in nature. So therefore, but those who are doing it selflessly, they are doing a wonderful job and following Lord Krishna's advice. And those who are not, they are accountable and they are doing it in a rajasic manner. So that is simply to explain the nature. So it's not that we do this all of a sudden, when many punyas, many merits are accumulated through the grace of the Guru, do these things even arise. Otherwise, the ego obstructs the way, and even advanced aspirants slip and fall down. Very much so, very much possible. So, we should always be humble, full of gratitude, and always willing to help and serve. So this is for sattvic people, how they sacrifice. And then it is for the next one is for rajasic. Lord continues, abhisandhaya tu phalam dambharthamapi chaichayat ijyate bharata shrestha tam yagyam vidhi rajasam. So Lord is explaining to Arjuna, he says, O best among the Bharatas, O Arjuna, that sacrifice which is offered with the expectation of fruit for mere show, know it to be rajasic or impure. So God is saying, when we do something with an expectation, I will give this knowledge only if I get so much money, only if I get so much donation, only if these things will happen. So when it becomes conditional and there is a expectation of fruit, it becomes rajasic, it becomes impure. So therefore they say this knowledge is called paravidya. Paravidya means knowledge of the divine, and aparavidya is knowledge of the world. So therefore we pay all this money to colleges and universities when we earn our degrees or whatever, and to simply to earn a simple living, we go through all these routines. But this is sacred knowledge, the knowledge of divine, the knowledge of God, and therefore it is to be received and given both with utmost purity, with gratitude, with love and compassion. Both the teacher and the student should be humble and full of love and compassion towards each other. There is no room for arrogance or um, conceit in this path. So therefore people who are doing it with that motive of money making or for show, popularity, name, fame, having these many subscribers, for example, this, that. We live in a very material kind of world where most of the people are stuck with these metrics of worldly success. This is not what Lord Krishna is saying that sattvic people should do. That is why people like myself and Swami Jyotirmayananda are not very well known, and that's perfectly fine, because we are not in this to get a big name for ourselves or to become very famous or to have big societies. We are simply serving God in our humble small manner, and touching one life at a time. That is more important than having thousands of disciples but of surface level only. That is not the goal of our society, Swami Jyotirmayananda Society, or even of our Guru, Swami Jyotirmayanandji Maharaj. He says, start a satsang, just two people. You can start from there. There is no thing as too small or too basic. It's the heart that counts. So, moving on to the next shloka, 13th. विधिहीनं सृष्टानं मन्त्रहीनं दक्षिणं श्रद्धाविरहितं यज्ञं तामसं परिचक्षते. Sacrifice which is contrary to the scriptures, which is offered without the distribution of food, devoid of mantras and gifts, and which is without faith, is said to be tamasic or dull. So here God is explaining those people who are doing demoniac kind of prayers. In their case, this sacrifices, the prayers that they are doing, there is no prasad. Prasad is the holy sanctified food after the prayer that is served to all. So in tamasic cases, they don't do that. And then they are also not following any proper mantras or rituals. Like when we start with 3 ohms, we sing the Gayatri mantra, the Triambakam mantra, Krishna mantra, etc., and we are following the proper guided mantras from the scriptures. These tamasic people don't do any of that, and then they don't even have faith with the way that they are doing their prayers. So it's basically done with an outcome in mind, and that's what they do. So this is what Lord Krishna says. We will cover this in the next shloka number 13 in the next chapter. In tomorrow's satsang. So my apologies, we went almost 20 minutes. I got so carried away with explaining these shlokas, because I generally try to keep it below 15 minutes. So we went a little bit over today, but this is a very important chapter, and so many of these qualifications apply different kind of gunas in different kind of people. So it's important that we be mindful of that. So this is Swami Nikhilananda. Hari Om Tat Sat. Yeah, I will see you in tomorrow's satsang. We will start from shloka number 13. Hari Om.